Hey guys, we are in Ellora Caves in India and I'm going to show you a Vimana, which is an ancient flying device. You are in for a big surprise because it's completely different from what we think it is. By the end of this video, I hope you will come to a logical conclusion if such a flying device could have ever been used in the past. What is so special about this 1200-year-old carving? It shows a scene from the Hindu epic Ramayana where Ravana, who was the king of Sri Lanka, is shown as flying in the air. According to the scripture, he uses a flying object called Pushpaka Vimana. During this flight, he was attacked by a bird called Jatayu, which is also shown in the carving. There is no guesswork involved here because it's all documented in the Hindu epic Ramayana. Now, let's take a closer look at how this flying device looks. Instead of an aircraft-like machine, it's shown as a much smaller device which is attached to Ravana's back. Surprisingly, this device looks very similar to a modern-day jetpack. First, notice how firmly Ravana is fastened to the Vimana using plenty of straps. In his safety harness, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 straps. Remarkably, you can even see the main strap going from his waist and being securely hooked on to the Vimana. This is the exact same technique that we use today in a jetpack. If you're flying, you wouldn't want to lose the jetpack in mid-air, would you? Now, there is also a circular object carved on this Vimana that's very similar to a modern-day propeller. You can even see the spinning blades of the propeller. Remember that this is a side view of the scene, which shows only one side of everything. This means that there could have been another propeller on the other side for balance. Again, notice the similarity with the modern-day jetpack that uses 2 rotors on either side. Was this 1200-year-old carving created based on an actual working Vimana? Why else would it be so similar to a working jetpack today? Look at this part at the top of a modern-day jetpack. It's called a safety roll bar, which is a gear stick-like device used for safe landing. Now, look at the top of the Vimana, a very similar device that looks like a gear stick too. Is this all just a coincidence? Were these carvings done based on pure imagination, or did people carve what they really saw? Speaking of creating what you see, let's take a look at how the Pushpaka Vimana is shown in modern-day Indian movies and TV shows. You can see how our generation, which is more used to commercial and private planes, showed as a small aircraft with wings. This is because the directors create these scenes with the machines that they are familiar with. Could this be true with this ancient carving as well? Did ancient people see human-like figures flying with devices attached to their backs? Did they simply carve what they saw? I say human-like figures because Ravana is defined as a humanoid with supernatural capabilities, where these flying humanoids with complex machines, in fact, extraterrestrials. This 1200-year-old Vimana has almost all the features, including a fuel tank, but something very important is missing. For jetpacks or rocket belts to take off from the ground, you need at least 2 pipes facing downwards that'll blow out heat to create a steam-powered thrust. This is a crucial piece for a jetpack, so just hold on to that thought that this Vimana does not have a tube or pipe-like extension. Now, you can see a carving of a horse as a part of the Vimana. There is no way it can be a real horse because it cannot be that much smaller than Ravana and Jatayu, and there is no reason why it should be attached to Ravana's back. Moreover, notice that this horse is carved facing the opposite direction of Ravana's flight. What's the secret behind this mysterious horse that makes no sense at all? I'm going to read a few lines from a Hindu scripture about this horse or mare that's called Dávnoveký. This was a lifeless mare with a needle-like mouth. It hissed like a snake, breathed fire, and spit out hot smoke which blistered human skin. End of passage from the scripture. This must be the answer to the missing piece. This horse, after all, is the mechanical device that pumped out the heat and steam needed for the jetpack to take off. Notice its mouth facing downwards, and when it breathes fire or steam, the Vimana would be pushed up in the air. Now, let's take a look at Ravana and see what he is doing while flying. He seems to be operating a circular instrument in one hand, and needless to say, he is wearing a helmet for protection. In the other hand, you can see that he is holding a dumbbell-like instrument over his ear, listening to something. This is exactly what modern-day pilots do. They listen and talk to nearby airports while flying. In fact, in the Hindu epic Ramayana, the author mentions 6 working airports in Sri Lanka which were used by Ravana. It is also mentioned that he used several flying devices of different sizes and power. Is this listening gesture connected to the flying process, or is it just a coincidence? Here's another carving in the same Kailasa temple, which also happens to be a flying humanoid. It's disfigured a little bit, but look at his hand, the exact same gesture. He's definitely holding something to his ears while flying. And sure enough, on his back, there is the flying device. Notice how he too is strapped on to the Vimana. Not this one, because it could be a religious thread worn by Hindus, but this bigger strap that goes around his waist that connects to the Vimana. Why would these so-called primitive people carve these flying devices and listening gestures so accurately? It just seems impossible that sculptors could carve such a vivid scene purely from imagination. I think we have to accept that at least it's more likely that these remarkable details were carved from experience rather than imagination. Now, the jetpack is considered as one of the fanciest inventions of modern times. From these carvings, we can see that the jetpack could have been used thousands of years ago. Are we simply reinventing historical devices? Could this technology have been used thousands of years ago by these humanoids that came from higher planets? Please do let me know your opinion whether this Vimana could have been a real flying device. Also, I'm finding a lot of mysterious stuff like this, so please do subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching, and talk to you soon.